General. Yes, good evening, good afternoon, from wherever you're watching us. I want to thank you so much. Well, the last 2 weeks, when I was around, it was on official duties for CFTV Media Network, and I miss you so much, but I want to thank you and those who are part of the shows, the previous guys who stood in for me. They did a great job, and you were there, you supported, you shared, you liked, and you did a great job. Our viewership is increasing every day. That makes a difference, and that is done by you, not us. So appreciating you is something I take seriously. Thank you so much. But always at Uganda Crossroads, we always focus on the politics of Uganda, the economy of Uganda. You know, we look into the education and the employment opportunities that are in the country. Probably we look at the economy in general, just as I said at first. But in my opening stake, these are the things I look into. We look at the major stories that make headlines every week. But the most important part is why those stories make headlines. For example, look at the bank scandal that is now going on with billions and billions of money being printed out. Look at the recent scandal between the People Power movement and Honorable Mohamed Isireko of Kampala. What's going on at stake? These are the things that we come here every Saturday to discuss and break through so that we can have a better understanding of what's going on. And today, again, I'm joined by Sarah Joy Bakanasa. You've seen her, you've always followed her on her Facebook page. She's still called Sarah Joy Bakanasa. Richard Myombia, same names on Facebook page. So you can go and follow them, like their discussions or presentations or whatever they post. It makes a difference in the political realm of our country. My name is David Lubuurwa, and again, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon or this evening from wherever you're watching us, please. Don't forget to let us know what you think about what we're discussing here and where you're from. Guys, I want to thank you for, being part of this talk show about Uganda's politics. You're always doing a great job, and I appreciate that. And last week was a week of drama, both as bloggers and as politics and as analysts. So you guys know about what really happened, but of course we're going to break them as our viewers are watching. Let me start with Richard. How was your week this past week before I go to Sarah?
It was very good. I had a very good week, and I'm in good moods even right now.
All right, that sounds good. Sarah, anything new? What happened last week? You guys, I missed you. Last 2 weeks I haven't been around, but glad I'm back.
We had a very interesting talk show with Father Chibi. Very amazing. Definitely the week has been amazing. So many interesting things happening from Uganda. And I'm calling upon everyone in the world to pray for Sudan. Everyone, you can turn your page, your profile picture blue for Sudan. We see what is happening there. Human rights have been violated. People are being murdered, raped. A lot is happening down there. But it's, a luta continua. So good afternoon to everyone here in the West East Coast and all our viewers all over the world, from Uganda, from Dubai, from UK, from everywhere in the world. We have so many people who come onto our talk show that really love our views and how we break down things and our analysis. So.
All right, thank you. So, sometimes I always want to go straight away to the main point. Now, this week, starting from Sunday, if I'm to be correct, that's when we had Honorable Mohamed Isireko, who is a member of parliament for Kampala, coming out to say there is some problem between his camp and the Bobby Wine camp, Honorable Chagulanyi's camp. And the main point was the allegations that are going on between the two parties, that one took money to the other so that he can probably buy him in order to support President Museveni or give a leeway for President Museveni to stand in 2021. Now, many bloggers came out, many analysts came out, and people disagreed with it. But let me read what you posted on your Facebook page, and that's what people really liked. The reason I wanted to start with you is what you said and how people responded to it. But let me pick a few things from your statement. This is what you say. If I'm to be exact, in your open letter, you say, coming from a political background doesn't make you a leader, as they argued. Museveni's father or mother were neither politician, but Museveni has forcefully led us for 33 years. Now, most importantly, there is where you say that people, Bobby Wine, people who stand against him or that he should come out and say whatever, respond to those who attack him. It's not his duty. Now, let me start with that. How were you affected by Honorable Nsero coming out to clearly tell the world that Bobby Wine has to come out and inform the world what the truth is all about?
It didn't make sense at all because Uganda has so many, there's so many demanding issues in Uganda right now for Bobby Wine to start engaging in petty fight or start clearing up petty allegations and who said what and who did not say what. It did not make sense at all because if we follow up since Bobby Wine joined the political career and him getting seriously into politics and advocating and getting interested in the big seat, so much has come out. There's a time that allegations came out that he was gay, that he wanted to introduce he wanted to introduce and give freedom to the LGBT in Uganda. That issue was there. They also went ahead and attacked his son and said his son was defiled from school. A lot of allegations have come up. But if Bobby Wine takes out time from the main cause is to find ways and solutions of how to take Museveni out of power, and you start engaging in who said what about you, I am telling you, the cause will be dead like yesterday. You don't have time for such petty, small things. I think it was very selfish of Nsereko to start asking Bobby Wine to come up and clear the air. Nsereko himself knowing it was an allegation made by whoever it was, no one even knows. It came up, the first time I saw that it was on some websites, on social media, I think even some tabloid ran it. So it was and Nsereko himself refuted it and said it wasn't true. So if Nsereko had refuted it and said it wasn't true, why did he need Bobby Wine to come out and say, again, it is not true, he has already said. And he went ahead and shared one of their private, WhatsApp exchanges. Because when I read the message, he told Bobby Wine that, such and such has come out. I would expect you, he was asking him to come out and clear the air. Bobby Wine responded to him and I said, yes, I've seen some falsehood on social media, but those are meant to divert us from the main cause. Bobby Wine was trying to be the bigger person. Basically, in other words, he was trying to mean exactly what he usually says. But I think Nsereko did not catch that. Because that's what he wanted to mean, that, this is not really something important. This is, it's not true. You and me know it's not true. So why are we why do we get time to start solving petty things, yet we have bigger problems? There are bigger things to solve. We have Ugandans dying every day because there's no medication in hospitals. We have scandals of corruption every day. We have government officials. We have, stealing money from coffers every day. So it was very selfish, one, of Nsereko to ask for Bobby Wine to come and clear the air. And two, Bobby Wine is on a European tour right now. One, he has not been given a chance to perform in Uganda, so he's performing to his fans abroad. Yesterday, from one of the statements he mentioned when he was in Sweden, he said before he used to travel abroad and take performing okay, I'm a musician, I come here to perform and walk away. But he says he doesn't take it for granted right now because it's an opportunity. He no longer gets that in Uganda. So, Nsedeko, and then you see he has had so many interviews. He has been on some radio TV station in France. So it would be very selfish of Nsedeko to start diverting Bobby Wine, who one is trying to earn a little bit of money, and two, he's concentrating on maybe some scheduled programs, to start again coming up and diverting us. So it was very, very selfish of Nsedeko, and I think Nsedeko was. I won't know, but he was looking for 5 minutes of fame, of which he got in a bad way, because I know how people came onto him. It wasn't really fair, because there are so many things that have been said about Nsedeko. I've read so many things about Nsedeko on social media, about his father, known being from northern Uganda. I've read so many things. He has never come up to clear the air. Even Nsedeko himself would have come up. I've read stories where he's being called in Nyereko, that he's not in Nsedeko, that he's from northern Uganda. But I look at it as propaganda. Nsedeko has not, and he has seen it, because I have seen some people on social media that have taken up their role to explain where Nsedeko comes from and his family.
All right.
And on top of that, there is a certain boy who came out to say Nsedeko is a brother. And the guy was abandoned. He was trying to reconnect to this side of the family, and he looks like he's exactly okay. He resembles Nsedeko. I won't say he looks like. Nsedeko has never come up to take time to explain to us or to help this young man who could be his brother. But you want Bobby Wine to take out time out of his busy schedule to sort out what, for me, I would term as they were really non-issues. All
right. So Richard, one of the things that happened, and if I read from Sarah's Joy. Both in Nsedeko, many people claim that he's more experienced in political, which is true. Do you believe or do you disagree with what's going on? Don't you think Nsedeko had to do that? And don't you think it's the responsibility of Honorable Kyagulanyi as a leader to come out and explain to the masses?
The first thing for Honorable Nsedeko is in Kampala, the heart of the country. And you know the problem of Uganda, whoever touches Uganda is about to lose. And in a way, if you're against them, look at Sebagala, what he did, betraying people. So when Nsedeko comes out and people are suppressed, the way Ugandans are suppressed by Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and then you had been chased out of the state house, and later because in any political scene or any political play, there's backdoor diplomacy. Look at Iran. I was looking at Iran. The back door is Japan trying to talk the Iran leader with America. In diplomacy or in leadership, there are backdoor channels. So Museveni failing to see that this man is Kyagulanyi is taking him out of power. He looks for anyone that can lead him to calm down Kyagulanyi, which I think is the truth. Okay? And the second thing, Honorable Nsedeko has 2 tickets, what you don't know. Is inspiring to run for the presidency using an NRM platform later in life. What you don't see is what I say. For him to come out and attack Honorable Kyagulanyi at this time, who is standing for the masses, now his own job is in trouble. Right now, he's in trouble. He might not get that Kampala seat again. So it's no longer costing him the Kampala seat, but it's going to cost him for the future inspiration that he has for Uganda.
Good. So Sarah, let me ask you this question. In your open letter, you say, finally, I think resolve this, let Nsedeko start his own movement. There is enough space for many movements so long as they are geared towards causing change in Uganda. What did you mean by that?
No, because you see, when I look at where I've been following Honorable Nsedeko from the beginning when he started his state of address, Facebook forums. And he started off by talking about things happening in Uganda. People used to join him and give their views here and there. Then he went on and started talking about what is happening in Saudi Arabia, in the Arab countries with the girls being... So they were trying to find ways of how to help these girls who are being either murdered or mistreated or raped, whatever the case is in the Middle East. And then he once in a while he would make statements that are kind of attacking Bobby Wine. Oh, we cannot support you, or you don't have a strategy. Those are some of the things that used to come up I guess some of the people would still smell the coffee and know that, okay, it's directing that to Bobby Wine. Just like sometimes you make statements and everyone knows, okay, Dr. Besigye is directing that to Museveni, he's directing that to Bobby Wine is directing that to Museveni or Besigye. You can smell the coffee. People are not stupid. So he started making statements that you would see he's really coming after Bobby Wine. And I think that's where, he started getting attacks from different people, and that's where his anger grew from. But for me, what I'm seeing now are people bickering for a political space, because Bobby Wine has gotten this favor, and he started up something that and the timing is right. It resonates with so many young people that comprise 80%, 75% of the population. They really want change. They've not seen any other president. They only know one president, and they have problems bigger than what you can ever even imagine. There's unemployment, there's corruption, there's nepotism. There's a lot of issues these young people are facing, and they want to see some other leader. So Bobby Wine looks like someone who's going to take them to the promised land. And then when you see now seasoned politicians who have been in the game for a long time, and they are starting throwing jabs at Bobby Wine, attacking him here and there. Oh, you don't have a strategy, or you don't have this, we can only join you because of this and that. And then for me, from that statement, I meant Nsereko has been in parliament for 10 years. He would have started this thing already. Because one, I started seeing some of, basically that came from seeing he has some two guys who are in his camp who sometimes if Nsereko is not speaking, they are speaking for him. They were saying that Nsereko is the right person to lead the People Power movement. So it is becoming now the issue. People are feeling like, oh, Bobby Wine, you're not good enough. Oh, Nsereko is good enough. He deserves to take on the People Power movement because he has more experience. That's why I think in my letter you saw I said if it was experience or coming from a political background that you're going to be president of Uganda, Museveni's parents, none of them were politicians. None of them were involved in politics. But Museveni has managed to lead us for 33 years. So it has nothing to do with your political background. Whether you come from a political family or once your grandparents were leaders or they were in politics, no. So, and that's what I felt. If we are bickering for who should push forward the People Power movement, if we are bickering for who is right, who has the qualification, who is more intelligent, who can hold more debates, who understands physical policy and not, you know what? Let Nsereko start his own movement. All right. The space is so big for so many movements.
You talked about the policies and all that. And recently, I think Honorable Bobby Wine has been asked that question several times. Recently it was on France 24, and it was asked the same question about policies. Now, I want you guys who somehow close to him or who follow up the People Power movement, what kind of strategies do you guys believe that if People Power gets into that position, the highest office in the country, they will bring come 2021 and following years? Let me start with Richard. Just a summary of that. A simple view.
That is a very big topic. I watched Honorable Kyagulanyi, and for me, that's why I'm here, because of the experience I have to analyze and give people the way forward. Because he said on record on 21st
France 24, right?
He said that once given an opportunity, he's going to implement the 10-point program. The 10-point program of which we came with from Museveni, from the bush. That totally I do not agree. I've read the 10-point program. You people should read this program. Museveni wanted to bring Marxism into the country. That's the way he would bring in, the way his way of ruling. That's how he made his constitution, using the 10-point program. It has failed for the last 30-something years. You cannot, Honorable Kyagulanyi. I'm a People Power, and I'm 200% behind Honorable Kyagulanyi. But I, as a freedom fighter, who want peace in Uganda, prosperity, economic growth for everyone, not for only a few individuals, I would not advise him. He's a good man, he can listen. I would not advise him to continue with the policy of the 10-point program. You read it. I'm politically mature. The only way forward for this country, Uganda, is for all the Ugandans to come together that are interested in the peaceful Uganda, all the people that made Uganda, to sit down before the election and produce a blueprint for the country of the way the country should be governed in peace and for everyone to share the national cake. But for him to say that given a chance, he would go and implement, because Museveni, even the 10-point program, never implemented it the way it was supposed to be. It includes socialism, particularizing the army, the police, two economies. One is capitalism, one is socialism. I totally don't agree. So he's a good man, he can listen. When he comes here, we shall tell him, please, let's make a blueprint for the new country. You are our leader, let's produce a new country. That's the most important thing I wanted to say.
By the way, I totally disagree with him. We've had very nice strategies written in Uganda. For you to say that after, becoming president, we sit down and then we work out on the new strategies of, we come up with a blueprint, that will be wasting time. If you look at the 10-point program, very nice, easy, spot on points. Just need implementation. They just need implementation. Let's go into the 2016. The campaign, what President Museveni used for his campaigns. Very excellent. Vision 2020. Very nice, points and strategies that are very easy to implement. Look at the campaign, look at what Dr. Besigye had for his campaigns. Excellent. Look at what this other guy, he had a very good strategy on how you can bring back Uganda as the top East African country in agriculture. That is one of the guys, I've forgotten his name. Very good. The problem with whatever strategy that has been laid up in Uganda is not, these are very, if you read them on paper, they're very good. The problem we have in Uganda is implementation. So I totally agree with Honorable Changulen. Let's go back to implement. We have had a chance in Uganda. We are very good talkers. We are very good writers.
Right.
But when it comes to implementation, we are very poor. Let
me ask you this question, because you see the foreign countries are supporting so much of Bobby Wine and all of us. Now, on one of the points of the 10-point program, which is, I think, the fourth point says it is their goal to stop interference of foreign interests in Uganda's domestic concerns since independence. Now, that's one of the 10-point programs, that they want to stop foreign interference. And what we're seeing today is people power movement being supported by foreign powers, inclusive of UK, USA, and other countries.
That means a lot. It depends on how you want to explain it. For me, what I would, for example, if I'm going to put it, the 10-point program was written in 1986.
Right.
If I'm going to put it and look at what is happening right now, I'm looking at the Chinese invasion of Uganda. If I'm going to put it to the current times and what is happening in Uganda right now, the problem is not America, the problem is not UK, the Chinese invasion of Uganda. Because what are they doing? We've had so many fake products being introduced on the Ugandan market. We have Chinese being given land by coming in and given land as investors, and this, people are being chased away from their lands. The Chinese are going to take over. You see how Chinese have invaded countries like Gambia, Zambia, all those countries. You see, one of the African countries, Chinese has taken over their police. Now you saw that country, the Chinese has taken over their police. The Chinese have taken over their airport. So for me, in the times, I think when Chagulanyi talks of the implementing the 10-point programs, I want you to again relate them to what is happening right now. Some of the things may not make sense, but again, you must flip them over. When you talk of the foreign invasion, right now, for me, I would look at the Chinese, because we are literally allowing Chinese to take over. You've seen governments, you've seen President Museveni, we are taking so many loans from China. of which they're not even explained to Ugandans, and we do not know what we are giving in China in exchange for the amounts of money they're giving us. And these monies that are coming from China, they are not even helping, they're not even doing any work to better the lives of Ugandans. It's being taken by a few individuals. So I would look at that. China is invading Africa. It is invading Uganda. People are losing their lands because they are being given to Chinese. Yeah. So I would look, because there are certain things, because if you compare it from 86 to now, over 20 years have gone down. There are certain things you're going to relate to the current situation. And
sure. So Richard, you don't agree with the 10-point program, but let me get one of the points that is really very important here, which is the 8th. People who are evicted from their lands and all that, which is actually up to today still happening. The 8th says that land should be returned to thousands of people displaced by mistaken development projects and land seizures. So what do you think that if Bobi Wine comes back and says we are putting out policies that are taking these people out of, that are bringing back the land of those who have been, look at what has just happened with these people who are displaced in Lusanja. Don't you think it's a very good point?
Let me analyze it here very, very, very well. Uganda currently is a decentralized system of government, a pyramid. If you look at a working example of America, the federal system of government, every federal state in Massachusetts, in Rhode Island, has ownership. The land belongs to the federal state. It's the federal state that actually implements these policies of the land. Because, for example, for me, I don't know the land issues of Teso. I don't know the land issues of Karamoja. I don't know the land issues of Madi. I don't know the land issues, land policies of Chigezi. The federal states, the governors and the people of that state have ownership, are the ones that are supposed to take care of the land the way it's supposed to be. Some of them is in customary ways of distribution. Whereas in a decentralization system of government, it is the government in power that has control. Which one would you prefer? Because this is what is bringing conflicts in Uganda. What you do prefer decentralized system of government where all the authority and the power belongs to the government in power, or the federal type of government? Because under the 10-point program is decentralization system of government. Because I was there when we were making these things. I know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not a working document. It's not a working policy for solving conflicts of a country. We should get a working example of America, where true federalism has been implemented. I have it here. That's why I'm looking at it very well here.
All right. So guys, I want to end with this. Now, part of the 10 points, which I think the last one is having a mixed economy. Now, Richard, you seem to be advocating for capitalism.
Capitalism.
You don't like socialism at all. Do you think it's really, can it be practical?
Yeah. Let's get a working example of America. All the business of here in America belongs to the citizen of the country. They pay taxes to the government. Then the government implements the services that is supposed to be implemented. That's the way capitalism works. If you read at the 10-point program, it says the mixed economy. Part of the economy. You read it very well.
It should be.
It is here. I have it here. Finally, Uganda should maintain a mixed economy combining of both capitalism and socialism methods, with small business in the hands of the private entrepreneurs, which are the individuals selling matoke, bananas, and then the bigger ones, the big business. Read it properly. The big business in the hands of the government, the monetary policy, ownership of heavy industry, construction of schools, hospitals under the control of the state. This is what is bringing the country down. In a true federal system like in America, it's totally different. The school system belongs to the federal states. Everything.
Which is what, Sarah, do you have anything to honor that?
Because I think what I want to say to him is when you look at the 10-point programs, it was, just like I said, it was drafted in 1986.
Right.
Most of the points in there need implementation. We agree on that. But as some of them, you have to relate them to the current times, because they may not, everything that is written there may not apply to where we are right now.
Okay.
So you have you have to relate them to the current times, just like I mentioned, for them to just like we talked about the land issue. We still have land issues happen, then we still have them right now.
Right.
But those are not the only things to be implemented. If you look at the manifestos of President Museveni, from, let's say, from the 10-point program up to now, he has had excellent manifestos. Uganda does, these leaders have, whoever writes their manifestos is spot on. They have very good manifestos. The manifesto for Dr. Besigye has always been good. Because I don't see why we should look for, instead of, all what we need is to edit the current manifestos, see what works for the current Uganda of 2020, of 2019, 2020, and then see what does not work for Uganda. All those what you've mentioned can be edited. You just need to edit and apply it to the current Uganda, because so many years have gone by and there are things that may not apply right now. There are things that are really right now are placing
before you finish, there's a point there. We were in the bush. In the struggle. What you see as a 10-point program was brought by Mr. Museveni and his group from Frelimo in Mozambique. After he started tour and fighting the war in Mozambique, is what he brought into the country as a working document for experimentation. Uganda, right from the beginning of the beginning of Uganda, from 1961 and 62, the first constitution of Uganda was made by the influence of the British and Obote. The second constitution of Uganda, 1962 or 1966, the Pigeon Constitution was, that's how Uganda would turn from the Western to the Eastern, socialism to be brought into the country. The third constitution was made by Museveni using examples from Mozambique. But I'm saying that before the election, as a new Uganda that we want, we as Ugandans, we should make our own constitution and our own process that are fitting on our own country in the current times, so that we will move forward. Not examples that were borrowed from Mozambique.
But you see,
that's not
at the end of the day,
African,
you see one of the things we are not going to dismiss. African problems are the same. We kind of share the same problems. We have one of the biggest problems of Africa, of leaders wanting to overstay in power. You cannot take that away. We have problems of corruption that are just move around the globe. If you see, you're going to find there are the same problems in Tanzania. We have the same problems of nepotism. We have the same problems of unemployment. So, and there is nothing wrong with seeing how is the other country, how have they been able. For example, there are things we would want to look at in Rwanda and see why is Rwanda developing very fast after genocide that left the country almost without, almost so many people died in Rwanda. How have they managed to, to resurrect in a very short period of time? This was just in 94, 95. There's a genocide in Rwanda. But how comes when you look at the GDP of Rwanda, they are doing much better than Uganda? What went wrong? We need to borrow. We need to look at what is Rwanda doing that we are not doing. Rwanda has been able to curb corruption. Any official that is called corrupt, they are put behind bars. They lose whatever, they've put stringent laws on corruption. Rwanda, for example, recently, the president shut down over 6,000 churches. Go to Uganda. Wandage alone has over 10 churches.
Freedom of faith in Uganda.
Yeah, but you see, freedom of faith is good. But what you have also pastors that have come up to start milking a cow, milking these congregations. You've seen so many situations. I was reading about, I think there's a pastor that was giving people jik to drink. I see on social media people are now asking people, there's a pastor who was pouring a bottle, people are coming with a bottle of Coke and a bottle of Pepsi, and the gospel has changed right now. People are being believed in, people are being told to pray. You pray and people work less, they spend most of the time in church. Maybe that's why we're having rampant poverty coming up. But so what Rwanda has done is he wants people who have gone to school to study, the Bible. You must be a graduate. You must know what you're going to teach, not what you see in Uganda. all which doctors have turned, some which doctors have turned into pastors because, you know, they no longer get money in shrines. And it's endless. Even, yeah, so I'm saying there are things we need to borrow from Rwanda. What is working in Rwanda that can work in Uganda? Because the story of Rwanda related to the story of Uganda when Museveni was taking over power in 1998-86, how comes in a very short span of time, Rwanda has money to develop?
All right.
And it's such a long country coming from such a strategy, from such a tragedy, and Uganda that has been, you know, Kagame was nurtured from Uganda. Right. He used to be in the army of Uganda. Kagame grew up in Uganda. How comes he has money to take Rwanda to a better place that President Museveni cannot? All right,
sure. We want to thank you, the viewer who is watching us right now. Whatever you're doing, spread and keep on sharing to your fellow friends or send as many people to come and like the page. What we need is what you need. So we thank you so much. But most importantly, send us your comments and please tell us where you're watching us from. All the discussion we are having is about how Uganda can be transformed into a better Uganda. Yes, the economy is improving. Yes, the national budget is increasing. Yes, our infrastructure is improving somehow. Yes, but we need more than that. If 30 years have been like that, many people are saying, no, it's not enough. So guys, I want to come back. Sarah, you ended up with the money thing about church and all that. This week, we saw the 90 billion Bank of Uganda scandal rising up. Is it a new strategy that maybe the president under his new State House Anti-Corruption Unit is maybe proving to the nation that maybe if he sets up his own agenda, it works better than this so-called national agenda? Sarah, I want to start with you. 90 billion down the road.
You see what happens. This I have already seen Tamaremi Road saying Uganda is being led by mafias and all that. This is the mafia scheme, and maybe Nakalema also, because you need to follow up where that money is going to go. Maybe another mafia scheme busting another mafia scheme because they were not involved in the, you know,
in the deal.
You think this is the first time it has happened? No. This has been happening. This is not, you know, this is not something that came out of the blue. This is something that has been going on for a long time.
I think
it's something to show you. You wonder why we've had increased inflation in the country. The shilling is losing value day and night because you have lots of money in circulation that is being owned by individuals. So what is happening right now is for me, I'm looking at it as one mafia group did not want to share money with another mafia group of what was happening. Because today morning I've been watching the video clip by Ofono Pondo where he mentioned that in the charter plane, there were not only, you know, the 90 billion you're talking about, but there were also some goods that belonged to some businessmen in Uganda. There were also some consignments that belonged to the UN. So I don't think this is the first time this has been happening. I guess some businessmen have been ferrying in goods without paying taxes, and you know they come in through that channel. When they get to the airport, they have their own people. I'm telling you, you need an overhaul on the entire Entebbe airport. There is a lot of fraud. There's a lot. That entire place is dead. So it's not the first time. You do not tell me if maybe these guys have been collecting some money from the UN, because UN does not pay taxes, do they?
I don't think so.
No, they don't. So I guess maybe someone was bringing in goods and labeling them UN goods, and then when they get on this other side, they find their other way. But you know, I don't think Ugandans should even be surprised and shocked to what is happening in Uganda right now, because that's first of all. You should know you're going into 2021. Already Museveni has already started campaigning. There is no money in Uganda. This is money they are going to use. They are looking for money left and right. Already they've given a surplus to President Museveni of 30 billion. And he used 17 billion in 2 weeks when he was in eastern Uganda. That money is finished. I'm telling you, these mafias are going to get, even if soil in Uganda, if the soil and dust someone comes up and says there's money, you know, it can cost something, they are going to sell everything. They're going to take over everything. Museveni needs money to campaign 2020. 2021 is going to be the most expensive campaign you've ever had, because Museveni has never been challenged. is right now. Because he has, first of all, he has 80%. He's being challenged by 80% of the young people who are not, because, you know, before he used to be proud of the old guard, you know, he used to campaign and tell people, oh, you can sleep now. We have our parents who used to say, oh, that it doesn't work right now. Even our parents, you know, they are sleeping, they can no longer sleep because they have no food. You cannot sleep on an empty stomach. They are no longer sleeping because, you know, there is a lot of theft. People are not sleeping at night. You have to stay awake. A lot is happening in Uganda. So, and then you have the young generation of 75%, 80% who, you know what, they are very energetic, they are able, they're educated, they've gone to school, they have their degrees, but there are no jobs. So this is going to be the most expensive campaign Museveni has ever had.
Richard, let me ask you this question. Would you agree with somebody who says that this was campaign money?
No. This was corruption money. I'm going to analyze right from the beginning. Because I was there when the money was being exchanged with the 30%, maybe it was 70% or 30%, where we lost all money in Uganda.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this, the 90 billion that was printed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm giving you the background of the information of the country, the things that are happening in the country. So when we came here, the $20 bill was $20 bill value. Up to today, it's a $20 bill. You tell me from 1987 to where Uganda is, what happened in between? Because Museveni controls the economy, controls the banks, controls everything in Uganda as one man. If you look at the check and balance of a country like America, the way the money is handled in America, the Treasury prints the money, but it's Congress that has the power over the money that is saturated in the country. In Museveni's government, it is him who owns Bank of Uganda, who owns the Treasury, and now he's sleeping, he's tired. Everyone is doing what he's supposed to do. This has been happening for so many years. I think we should be happy that they have been caught red-handed this time. Because what they have been doing is what you said, the examples of Rwanda, how the economy of Rwanda is growing. Rwanda does not allow private forex bureaus in the country, doesn't allow them. But in Uganda, this money is brought by these government officials from Bank of Uganda, and what they do, they work with one of the forex bureaus, they bring in the money, and they take out the foreign exchange for themselves out of the country, to create inflation in the country, and steal from the people.
Would you agree that this was money for campaign?
No, it is not. This is not campaign money.
How about let's look into this. President Museveni always gives out envelopes. However, is it state money allocated by parliament, or it's money from somewhere?
It is one. You cannot, you know, in a country disorganized like Uganda, you don't know where the money comes from. We've had, because we've had 30 billion, is it 31 billion allocated to him? They said 17 billion was meant for the 2 weeks campaign he had in eastern Uganda, and then the other, is it 17 billion was a surplus to State House, a surplus which is not even explained, because you would expect them to explain what is the money going to do. Whenever State House is asking for money, we are not explained to what is money, because this is taxpayers' money. You need to give us an elaborative explanation of what is the money going to do, but we never get that. But at the same time, whether it's campaign money or not, you have a country run by mafias. Everyone wants to take a share of, wants to take their own share, because they know, you know what, it's anytime, you know, there could be change of guard, or it's going to be bad, or, the government is going to change. So every person wants to take their own share. So people are stealing left and right. And it's so absurd that the stealing is happening in Bank of Uganda that is supposed to control. It is the guard at controlling the economy. It is the one now responsible at such issues of corruption that are causing inflation in the country. Every man now, it's Uganda right now, every man is for himself. If you're given some money, if you're in some office, if you can't take it, you're in trouble. Because people, the best word would be tamwegenda. Everyone is trying, to get whatever they can before the shit hits the fan.
There's something I wanted to add on there.
Yeah, sure.
Right from the beginning, we used to have a man in Uganda. Most people don't know him. I don't know if you know him. Serwanga. He used to get money direct from Bank of Uganda to give out to soldiers. that we are in need of money, direct from Bank of Uganda. Salim Saleh, if you hear how Salim Saleh got all that wealth he has, he used to take lorries to Bank of Uganda and pickups and load direct from the orders of the State House. So to stop all these things, we must, in the new constitution of Uganda, that's why I'm asking the Ugandans that are viewing us tonight, that we must make a new constitution equivalent to the working document of the Constitution of America, where the president in power does not have control at all of the money that is in the country. It should be the Congress, which is the Congress is made up of the states and representative of the people.
You see, that is gonna, that's why in this current state and government, that is going to be so impossible to happen. That's why you need change of guards. That's why you need new leadership. Because when you look at how Uganda operates now and how it is run, Museveni controls he controls the legislature, he controls the judiciary, he has ministers, but he controls every ministerial office in the country. You've seen him going to areas and he's commissioning water, electricity, as if he doesn't have these ministers. If there is a small toilet, if it's an area and toilet needs to be commissioned, President Museveni will be there commissioning toilets. The other time he was on Gayaza Road, I hear commissioning a dairy plant. Yet he has full ministers who are taking salaries, who are having cars, who are getting allowances. So you have a one man, it's a farm that is led by one man, and he's making all the decisions the way he wants. So and he's kind of accustomed and he is used to this kind of behavior, typical of dictators, because he wants to be every power and everything is centralized to him. He wants to be everywhere, even when he cannot. And that's why all the other guards are using every opportunity to steal and take away whatever they can. So unless you have change of government, fresh minds, fresh ideas, where people are going to come into power and do things differently, you cannot ask Museveni to stop opening toilets. He's going to continue, because you know what? He has made it his role to start doing all the jobs. Maybe one thing he will do for us is to fire all the ministers and RDCs and all the rest he has, because he has cabinet ministers, state ministers, doing nothing. He's taken over the roles of whatever they're supposed to do, he does it himself.
All right, let's get out from there. One thing I like about President Museveni, as a person, as an individual, he's a guy who appreciates people. And for the last number of years, probably 20 or 30, he's been awarding medals to different individuals. I should submit, my mother has ever received a medal from President Museveni for her good work in the area where she has been a leader. But let's get back. That was a side business. Let's put these 4 guys who are awarded medals for stopping Justice Bagameri from entering the premises. Was that a sign of appreciating the work they did? Because they've been supported by the government. Ofonoponde came out and said, oh, these are great men. They stopped something from happening. If you were a leader, let me start with Sarah. If you were a leader, the president, and these guys did a great job, like what the government claims to have done, what would you have done?
I think you see the problem the president is going to face, or he is facing right now. He's responsible for that land commission happening. And the land commission was set up because of the rampant land grabbing, land evictions that are happening in the country by some individuals, by those in power, and so many, common men and women have lost their land. Look at the Lusanja situation, where someone wakes up and breaks down people's lands without giving them an explanation, and then later you find out the eviction order was given to a wrong piece of land. The eviction was supposed to take place to another piece of land. So for the army guys, they were on duty. Maybe there was no order there was no court order for whoever was supposed to go on that land to go and survey the land, whatever was happening. But again, for Museveni, he's shooting himself in the foot, because you set up these commissions to streamline the land grabbing in the country. But at the same time, you're belittling the commission. You're making them look irrelevant. And the way And I expected the spokesperson of government, Ofunopondo, to be more intelligent on how he puts out his statements. Because from Ofunopondo, if I listen to what he was saying, he's kind of saying the commission, he's kind of putting down the role of the commission. Yet this is a commission that was set up by the president. So basically, I do not know, these guys are they're all the time fighting each other. And this is enough to tell you that maybe there are some guys in government who are grabbing land and they are not happy with what the commission is doing to them. So this commission is stopping them from, grabbing land the way they would have done it. So for a commission to go onto this land and try to inquire, because there is an issue with this particular land.
Yeah, probably one would say security.
Yeah, some people are being taken away from this land, but this is a commission that was set up by the president. Even awarding them, so many awarded people were awarded. Not everyone that were awarded ended up on camera and people being seen. They would have awarded them privately and not bring it out. Because at the end of the day, they are putting down the commission they started themselves. This is a commission the president commissioned himself. They are putting them down. They are demoralizing the role of the commission. Because if the commission really is right that this land, whatever the land they are protecting, is land that has wrangles. These guys are grabbing land, or some people are being evicted from the land, and then you're busy awarding the guys who stopped the land eviction and seeing the manner. All that is on video. Look at the manner of which they handled the commission head. They were almost, they wanted to shoot her. The guys had no respect for her. So are you rewarding bad behavior? Are you rewarding the way they treated the commissioner? Or are you rewarding them for stopping her from accessing the land? So it's all mixed up and it doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, it is typical of Museveni. It starts up all these commissions. That's not the first one. And at the same time, he keeps breaking those he has given, leadership in these commissions and making their work very difficult for them to be able to do anything. So they end up quitting, or they end up, failing to do their job.
Oh, well, yeah, that's great. So that lines with you, Richard. How much value, you've been following up this political situation in Uganda for a number of years. How much value do those medals carry?
Let me tell you before we go forward, there is something I wanted to comment on this. If I was the one of awarding medals, I would have awarded a medal.
To these guys?
Yes, because what he did, defying an order or defying Justice Bagamire, what was at stake? Let me give you the background of that land, because I belong to that land. Ettaka eryo ery'emutungo baali wa jjajjange njala mpandi olusozi lulamba olw'emutungo.
All right, so
okiwulira?
Yeah, I get it.
Olusozi olw'emutungo jjajjange njala mpandi yali munamwaya wali wansi.
All right, so let's put
now let's say now these people come and the government officials themselves, in the name of security, grab a prime land from the owners, because the owners, if you look at who's contesting the ownership of that land, it is the government of Uganda, because it's on record. It belonged to Mutesa, and these people were occupying it. And all of a sudden, these people, because they have taken anything, they have stolen everything from the country, this Justice Bagamire comes and to take the land away, and these people stops.
But this was a national security matter.
It doesn't have to do with national security. It's the way they take people's property. That land does not belong to them, and this land, they will lose it once they get out of power. It does not belong to them. They're using force and the laws and all the tricks to take out people's land. That's why they are awarding this man, that you help us get this land that we were going to be evicted from. That's why he was awarded.
Well, sources tell us that after some days, the government organized some officials with the Justice Bagamire, and they went and checked the land and everything. What we don't know yet is the report for what she discovered there.
No, but if you're asking for the report from that particular land, ask for the report from Lusanja. Because right now, you heard very rightly that the eviction in Lusanja was meant for another piece of land. the court order was for another piece of land on Rusanja. So I think some of there are things we are going to stop demanding this government and focus on championing change and see that we get new leadership, because we'll never get the answers. If we start asking government for answers, we'll go back and ask for all these endless murders, starting from the likes of this guy who was poisoned. He used to be in the army. What's the name of this guy? Sometimes I forget these names. For example, you're going to go back, way back, and start asking government for the countless murders we've had in the country. We've not even, at least if we cannot get the one of Kawesi, let's get the one of Nyakairima. If we cannot get the one of what's this other guy? Sometimes I forget.
Sure.
Yeah, so if we, all those reports, you cannot get them right now. So many evictions have been happening, land evictions, so many murders, and none. We've not gotten a report anywhere. So I think those are things we are going to stop demanding for.
All right.
We are going to just focus our energies into changing guards, into bringing new leadership in the country, and we stop demanding for things we'll never get.
Yeah, this is a side question. It's from online Ivanawa Wanuka, and I wanted to give it some little attention. It says, can Pastor Miombia, Richard, tell us where the money we get from government to politicize UNA come from? Chances are, it's just a side question. It's not.
He said what?
But because it's about Ugandans, I think that's why it was raised here. Can you throw more light on
he said what?
Where the government gets the money that it supplies to UNA?
So the government of Uganda starting giving money to UNA was done in one purpose. That you people of UNA, if you want money to your organization, you should not talk about politics in the country that affects Uganda, because the UNA issue is so important. It's the unifying voice for people in the diaspora in North America. It was the same as Gwanga Muje. UNA was given $100,000 per year. That was the promise the Prime Minister gave. Gwanga Muje was given $50,000. I don't know if they're still receiving that money. On one purpose, you people, when you come to UNA, don't talk about change in Uganda, don't talk about politics, don't talk about anything that suppresses Ugandans in Uganda or outside Uganda. Just concentrate on your music and dances, and that's it. That's the purpose of that money. It is wrong, it is wrong, it's wrong.
All right, thank you, Master. So already you follow a little bit about it?
Yeah, but because, you know, I never had interest in so much of what happens into UNA until when I stumbled on that information that they get money from the government of Uganda. And I think it is very selfish of even our brothers and sisters who sit in the United States of America to be, to even the leadership of UNA to complain. We are here talking about the plight of what Ugandans are going through, and you're collecting money from the Ugandan, you're collecting taxpayers' money to come and enjoy and have entertainment for 3 days. The members of UNA, the people who belong to United States, the members of UNA themselves can collect that money. People here can work. Throughout the year, let it be put, I think they can collect even over $100,000 because if we are really going to champion and we want to cause change in Uganda, it is very unfair for us to be taking away from Ugandans what they don't even have. $100,000 could buy medicine and could save lives. I was reading the news, a young girl of 19 years died because she didn't have 150,000. She went into labor in Mitiana. So I think it is very wrong for the UNA leadership to continue collecting money from the government of Uganda. And I think the people who sit in it is about time, those who want to take over UNA leadership, to fight it. That is not going to be fought from Uganda, because right now, if the issue was to stop Ugandans leaving the diaspora to talk about the issues happening right home, that ship has already sailed. We are here. So many, if you look at what is happening, the diaspora is more involved in Ugandan politics than never before. If you look at in the United States, in UK, everywhere in the world, the diaspora is now more involved. So I think the mission of them taking money, taxpayers' money, to come and have 3 days of enjoyment has lost meaning, because we are now more involved in the politics of Uganda. We follow it up. When issues come up, we push them to the senators. We want the government of the United States to get involved in the issues where they send their donor money. So I think it has lost meaning. And I think it would be very fair for the UNA administration to hand over that money or to stop collecting money from the government, because it is really unfair for us to be here in the Western world and we talk about the issues of Ugandans, how they're unemployed, how they have no medicine, yet we yet we are the same people who are taking away from them.
Right.
We collect, this is money, let's look at this money. I think as UNA itself, if UNA, let's say, had maybe 1,000 or 10,000 members, and they said, this is what is going to happen, let members pay this amount. And there must be, I think they should come up with better and new initiatives of collecting money from these members and come up with incentives, or if you're a member and this is how we help you. And, they should modify it a little bit, make it better. Some members here need lawyers and say, when you're a member, in case you have an issue like this, we are going to help you find lawyers. Or if you have an issue here, we are going to help you. If a member maybe has an issue, maybe fall sick, or there's someone sick at there, there should be initiatives that come up to make members stay firm in there and contribute their money than collecting money from the taxpayers in Uganda and bring it here to be enjoyed.
All right, thank you. So the reason why I started with that is because I wanted to go to the recent article that was released by Nile Post, one of local newspapers or online papers or online information distributors in Uganda, that say the government wants to know personal details for all Ugandans working abroad, majorly, to be specific, bank accounts. Is this the right move? You guys, how did you receive that kind of information? Because we shared it on our page. How did you receive that? The government wanting to know our bank details or bank statements to be saturated to them. The allegation is based on the people who are affected in the Middle East, Oman, Qatar, and other countries who are told that they're going to be paid a certain amount of money, and once they get there, they get a different amount. And many have lost lives and all that. Is it a smart move for the government, and is it for a good cause? No,
they want to steal people's money. They just, because why it is, and there is a time someone, I think I met up a certain team from Centenary Bank. They were telling me, they were taking me through how to open up an account in Uganda, and I asked them, okay, when they took me through the entire opening up of an account, I said, okay, I'm living here, so I open up an account. Or you send money onto your account, or you use mobile money, and then an agent is going to withdraw that money for you and put it on your account. So I said, okay, if I need my mom to have that money, what happens? Oh, unless she's a signatory on that account, but if she's not, this is money to help you when you return to Uganda. I said, my dear, I have a savings account here, I run 2 accounts here. If I need money when I'm coming to Uganda, I'll just withdraw the one I have here and bring to Uganda. And then I've had situations of friends opened up accounts in Uganda, and they're living abroad and they're sending money over how they've lost money. And the bank officials, all the agents cannot even explain how their money was lost. So I think the government is in panic. Even if there's, they now want to start tapping into accounts of people living abroad, and they want to start stealing their money. You know how many people lost money in, I happen to have known some people who had accounts in Crane Bank. And those are some people who used to live abroad because they choose to run accounts with people who live abroad. People lost money up to this time. There is no explanation of where their money is. The DFC, you cannot explain where their money is at. So now, if you start having government, it's, government is looking for every possible ways of frustrating Ugandans and leaving them poor. And if people have been, now, in other words, you're telling people to shut down their accounts, because I'm not going to allow government to have access into my bank account. Why am I giving you my bank information? Because if tomorrow money is stolen, who is giving me a proper explanation for that?
Richard?
So this move is just about one thing: stopping people from the diaspora or around the world to support people power. That's it. If you look at the changes that they made in MoneyGram, I don't know, Western Union, the form itself changed. You must send, the person receiving money from there must put your name, address, phone number and purpose of the money. For example, if I put $10,000 and give it to someone in Uganda, the government is going to come because they are looking of how ways to stop Kyagulanyi, Honorable Bobi Wine, from receiving money for the campaign, to get this money out of, because people are going to fund this man, like it or not. So what they are doing now, all this that they are coming up with this, is to see that they stop people from giving money to people power. There's nothing more they like it for. What for?
They need to make sure that you guys, your money may be safe. And
No.
It is not the role of Ugandan government to determine how my money, to get it to my account, to see how much I put there and how my money is safe. And I'm telling you, because if you're doing all these things to affect how Ugandans send money back home, again, you're affecting the remittances back home. Because if you're not frustrating the Ugandans who live abroad, some of them have accepted and know that they are dealing with the dead state. And most of them are no longer investing in Uganda. Some are investing because people here are buying treasury bonds. Because even investing in a business in Uganda, it's a very risky situation. It is very tough to invest in Uganda right now. Because there's too much inflation, you could lose your business, so much can happen. So people are buying treasury bonds, people are looking for other, people have opened up companies. Ugandans are opening up now companies where they live because they have the opportunity. And the moment you can manage your company, it's a small scale company, you can manage it, people are making more money on this other side than investing back home.
All right, so I want to thank you. Members who are watching us online from wherever you are, whatever you're doing, still great. We are soon finishing, but before we finish, most importantly, there is one thing I like about our economy, Uganda. We always talk about politics. The question is, what is the future? All these leaders, we have seen Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, we've seen Dr. Besigye, we have seen, all these political players in the country. Nothing has changed. Let's go back before 1986, before Museveni got power. We remember Idi Amin was a bad guy. Dr. Milton Obote was a bad guy. Yusuf Follett was a bad guy. How sure are we that if Honorable Bobi Wine or Honorable Kyagulanyi, if he gets in power, he's going to lead Uganda to the promised land? I want you guys to finish up with that.
I'm not going to talk about leaders because most of the past leaders, some of us have not had a chance to live in their governments. Either we were young or were not yet born. But going back to history and as a student of political education, so I got a chance to study some of these things. If you look, for example, if I'm going to compare the performance of Idi Amin, I think despite the fact that Idi Amin used to kill people, Idi Amin did a better job than most of these presidents you're mentioning right now. Idi Amin loved his country. Every time he saw something that he felt is going to develop Ugandans, he took it back home. The time of Idi Amin being in power, Uganda used to export food to Dubai. You can imagine at one point in time we used to feed Dubai. We used to give food to Dubai. In fact, we used to give food to Dubai. Dubai is now, it's a desert, but they're growing their own food. Yes, they're getting food from other countries, but in Dubai, if you take time and travel in Dubai, they grow food in Dubai. It's a desert, but they grow food. So when you look at most of the things, either corporations that have shut down, when you look at some of the banks that have been sold, when you look at most of the developments we had in Uganda that this particular government has sold off, they belong to the government, and they were put up by President Amin. When you look at Nile Hotel, that was a government-owned hotel, but right now it's owned by it was sold off to the Aga Khan. So many properties have gone, just like that. They've gone to private individuals or foreign individuals, and they've been done by, because in the beginning, President Museveni came up with privatization where all these things were not properly managed. But look at how if they've been sold off. If, for example, if you wanted to privatize a coffee factory, let whoever comes in be able to continue it as a coffee factory. But you see some of these things, you would just hear, oh, that used to be a coffee factory, that used to be a cotton, you know. So they've all been turned into something else. So I think what we need a leader who really loves his country. You had that from, apart from the things we used to read from President Amin. If you look at one of the 18 reasons Amin gave for chasing away the Asians, one, he said Asians were milking a cow they had not fed. And maybe the challenge President Amin did not think of is that the Ugandans he was giving the opportunity to man these factories, they didn't have the expertise and experience. But had they had the expertise and experience, I think when you look at it, he wasn't doing anything wrong. Indians had taken over the country, and he wanted to give Ugandans an opportunity to run these factories. And so Idi Amin, when you compare to all these, Idi Amin loved his country. What you see, if Amin was president right now, you wouldn't be having Chinese selling pancakes in Kampala. You have Chinese now making pancakes in Kampala. You have Chinese doing all these odd jobs in Kampala. You would never have Chinese selling pancakes. You have Chinese now selling nigina. They've gone into downtown. They are selling clothes. They are selling all these plastic shoes. They've taken over. They are doing the jobs. You soon have Chinese taking over Nakasero market selling tomatoes. I've seen Chinese doing mobile money in Kampala. Those are jobs for the common Ugandans who are looking for, you know, for what to feed on and take care of their families. So I think, I mean, what you need and what you lack right now is a leader who is passionate about the country, who loves their country. What you have right now, you have a sitting president who really hates Ugandans and Uganda at large. You've seen him on several interviews where he has clearly said that he's working for himself and his children and grandchildren. So really, why does he care about? Because you see it's been raining in Uganda and some of the roads are flooding. Museveni is not using those roads when it's raining. If it's really bad, it can be airlifted from Nakasero to Entebbe. So Museveni, the problems of Ugandans totally do not concern Museveni. If the problems of Uganda concerned really Museveni, he would not have just given off Mulago Hospital to a private individual where Ugandans have to pay 50,000 for consultation. How many Ugandans can afford 50,000 for consultation if they cannot even afford 1,000 to buy Panadol? All right.
Richard?
Okay, you asked a question and said that the other leaders have failed.
Yeah, because that's been a started narrative over the years. That everybody has failed. Now,
the first thing is we as Ugandans have to sit down and make a new constitution and its economic policy and political policies. The leader coming to power is just going to implement the policies. They implement the constitution. Not as it has been from Obote, Idi Amin, everyone, Mwanga and everyone, who comes with their own idea, even Museveni. The way he thinks that he wants the economy of the country to be run in the country, as an individual leading the country. What we need to do as Ugandans is to put into account what we need that should be put in the constitution. The economic policy, I was saying that total capitalism of the country, small governments, for what? For corruption. For example, in Massachusetts here, where we have a government, where I live, we have a government right here. It has its own budget. I can go to the town hall here and know how much money is on the account. Not someone who is coming from way up here to know how much to control the economy here in Waltham. That's the way you are going to stop all these things. But I would not prefer even my best friend Chagula, for him to run the country based upon his ideas. No, I want him to run the country based upon the ideas of the Ugandans, upon the constitution that has been agreed by all the people in Uganda. That's where we shall be.
All right, so here's a question. Here's a question before you finish up. Do you really think Uganda needs a new constitution?
Yes.
Uganda's constitution is so strong. What we basically need, as I think many will agree, if you disagree with me, is we need people who respect that constitution. So
we need you need some amendments to be done. The amendments that are, for example, you need to restore the term limits. You need to restore the age limits. There are certain things that have been tampered with in the constitution that needs to be restored. anything that has been tampered with to favor President Museveni or favor his government needs to be restored. But I'm giving, I think it's a workable document that you can edit here and there and make it work for the current Uganda, for the situation where we are right now.
Let me give you an example. Yeah. Let me give you the background. If you want to, so next week, you bring the draft constitution or docket draft constitution. It was 70% of all Ugandans, because the purpose of making that new constitution was the promises Mr. Museveni made in the bush to make a new Uganda, not knowing that he was bringing his own ideas and tricks into, because Museveni himself made that constitution. I was there on the conference center when this constitution was being made, and the disagreement that we had in the constitution making. The purpose of making that constitution was a system of government. Most of Ugandans, 70% had agreed that Uganda should go into total federation, not semi-federation. Now it is in decentralization, and then you tell me that it just needs repairing that constitution. Look, what they're saying, that federalism cannot work in Uganda because it's a small country. This is the song they're telling to the people selling food on the streets.
Which is
okay. Now let's get a working document. I want you to bring next week the constitution of the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates have kingdoms, and it's a small country. It's one of the most successful and prosperous countries. It is under federalism.
Would you prefer to go back into kingship? And
no, I'm giving you a working document of United Arab Emirates. It's a constitution. I have it in my house that is under kingdoms, chiefdoms, and federation. Why can't it work in Uganda to stop conflict? Because the purpose of federalism is to create equal opportunity to everyone in Uganda, not people gaining, because since the days of Idi Amin or Obote or Museveni, people gain advantages from others. That brings the conflict in the country. Katiba Nyanko Bebadia. Luri Badi.
Let me put it this way. So you guys agree that Uganda's constitution need to be fully amended, or just a few things?
There's a lot of amendments you have to do. Just like I mentioned, that you've had things that have been tampered with just because they needed to favor the sitting government. You've had you had the age limits lifted. You've had the term limits lifted. You've had a number of things have been lifted in that constitution that needs really to go back and be reinstated, because you cannot have, because right now if you look at the constitution, it's more or less Museveni giving himself life presidency. He has no limit. Even after, if he gets a chance and comes back, 2026 he will want to come back. Basically, you're going to have a lifetime president, and that's what he has done. It may not say exactly that in the constitution, but that's what it is right now. There is no limit on him being president. He could even be president at 100 years.
Yeah, sure, but Richard, before I finish, this was very interesting. You talked about the Dubai Constitution and American Constitution, but certain things cannot work everywhere. And most importantly, we need people who can respect the Constitution if it is there. Because right now, the biggest problem Uganda is facing is people who do not respect actually what is already there.
Okay. How is the new Constitution made? How was this Constitution made? The first thing you do...
The consulted people, right?
The first thing you do is, what we need to do as Ugandans is a diaspora conference to determine the future of our country. The second thing what we need to do in Uganda is a referendum for people themselves to choose, and then a constitutional assembly. That's how a constitution is made. No one just comes in the morning and says we want to make a new constitution. It has to go into step by step. In a referendum, Ugandans are going to be told, would you like Uganda to be in this political system? Would you like Uganda to be in this economic system? Would you like Uganda to be, the police to be controlled by the government to kill people? The army to be controlled by the government to kill people? Would you like the same army like you have in Israel, civil defense forces of the people, where the people themselves, the civilians, are controlling the army, and they don't waste all the resources guarding dictators in power? So this is all done through consultation and then a referendum. Then the people who own the country decide their own destiny. That's how a constitution is made.
So what is most important? What's most important? Removing the big stone, for this case being President Museveni, and then the country goes on, or changing the constitution right now as President Museveni still remains in power?
No.
But what's most important to you?
Museveni must go first.
President Museveni almost owns, not even almost, he owns the constitution. If he can change it the way he wants, because you've seen anything you've wanted to change on the constitution, members of parliament have been paid off and they've lifted whatever they want to lift. So basically, I think the biggest focus of Uganda right now should be to see that we cause change. Change, take away the old guard. Museveni needs to take rest wherever he wants to go, either Rachitula or wherever he wants to take refuge. We need an overhaul. We need to see a new Uganda with new leadership, young, innovative people, new ideas, people who love the country. I think at first we need leaders who have Uganda at heart, who would want to see Uganda better, who would want to see Uganda prosper, who would want to see Ugandans in a better place than leaders who are selfish, who are serving their country, who are serving their children, family, and relatives.
All right, sure. Okay, so you guys, you've made it simple for me now. I don't have to explain any further what we need in Uganda. So for this case, I want to thank you guys who have been watching today. I always want to leave now a closing statement. I want to copy the words of Kwame Nkrumah. He said, if we do not approach the problems in Africa with a common front and a common purpose, we shall be haggling and wrangling among ourselves until we are all colonized again and become the tollers of a far greater colonialism than we have suffered hitherto. Now, you've heard about People Power movement. You've heard the reasons why the movement came up. It's you to have a choice and think about it, whether you think can lead you to the promised land or you let it go. However, there is nothing that is going to change if the government and its people continue doing things the way they are doing it. From us, Sarah, I want to thank you for joining us again. I want to thank you, Richard, for coming today. I don't think you guys have more to say today. I want to take you off.
No, if I could just add on from Kwame Nkrumah, he said you will have far more colonialism than from what you've suffered before.
Right.
Ugandans, you must be on the watch. China is colonizing Africa. China is coming for Uganda. So, and that is going to be a far worse colonialism than what you suffered before, because first of all, their intention is to, because what they're pouring out in the country, I've seen plastic fish in Nigeria. I have seen one they're going to cause a number of continuing diseases. Cancer is going to be on the rampart because they are more at making, they're not interested in growing food the organic way. They are more interested and their innovation is telling them to create plastic foods. So you're having China taking over and colonizing Africa at a fast rate, and Ugandans, you should not keep a blind eye to that. What he meant then is going to happen if we don't wake up and reclaim back our country. It is being handed over freely to the Chinese.
All right, so I can't add more from that. It's now you. It's our responsibility. It's your responsibility to think about where you see the future of Uganda. Have a great week. See you next Saturday. We'll be back discussing major issues. Thank you.